morning. You've tuned into Market Fatafat right here on ET Now with me, Mubina Kapasi. And before we kickstart Market Fatafat with our usual countdown of all the big movers and shakers in trade years, once again thanking all our viewers because it's yet another week where ET Now trumps all. We have once again managed to gain the most amount of viewership in the week gone by, and this is something certainly worth celebrating. In fact, our viewership is more than all the other business news channels combined, with a whopping 51% market share. So, yet again, our gratitude remains to all our viewers for choosing ET Now. All right, well, this is, of course, the show where we flag off all the big movers and shakers in trade. For now, markets looking very sluggish. In fact, the Nifty has once again, albeit momentarily, given up the 11,000 mark. And yes, we're still below the 11,000 mark, 12 odd points gone. And it's a more than % of a decline seen on the Nifty. 130 points eroded in just the first 2 hours. So it's certainly not a very pretty picture that we are seeing on the markets. In fact, the bears have, gripped the markets right from the beginning of July. And that seems to be continuing now as well. Like I said, the show is all about individual movers and shakers, and to flag that off for us, we have with us on the technical Sumit Bagadia of Choice Broking. We also do have Kunal Bothra, and making her debut on Market Fatafat is Vinny Motiwala, ET Now's research analyst. So good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining in. And let's kickstart the show with Wipro. Today, the stock is a top Nifty gainer. Despite everything that's been happening in the markets, this technology company seems to be doing pretty well. In fact, it's gaining a neat 2% in trade the last time I checked. It would, of course, be interesting to note if it has as well succumbed to at least some of the market pressure, if not all. But at this point of time, definitely it's the big Nifty gainer in trade. And of course, there was some news as well, but don't read much into that in terms of being the key reason why the stock is gaining. But yeah, it has received the final comments on the share buyback from SEBI, and the buyback will open from 14th and close on the 28th of August. Volume activity as well very high. In fact, 1.1 crore shares already traded. That's 5 times more than the 20-day average. Kunal, let's talk about Reliance Industries. 8th straight day of a fall in line with the markets. How do you read into this?
Absolutely, Mubina. And one of the more important, I think, observations on statistic front for Reliance Industries is the high correlation with Nifty. In the month of June and July, the correlation for Reliance Industries with respect to Nifty was as high as 75 to 80%, which is substantial enough for a large cap name. Now, what does that impact, or what does that imply? It means that if Reliance Industries tends to move lower, it could have a very similar effect on the Nifty as well. Now, Reliance Industries is off by 6% from its long-term moving average, which is the 200-day moving average. And I believe if a similar pattern gets replicated on the Nifty, you could see the Nifty falling by another 3 to 4% from current levels, with the long-term moving average, the 200-day moving average, placed at 11,140. So keep this correlation into perspective for Reliance Industries, and I believe if the stock remains under pressure, you might see Nifty also replicating the same.
Right, there you have it. That is, of course, the word then coming in from Kunal on Reliance Industries. It's, of course, 6% of its 200 DMA. And Vinny, of course, the big news maker last evening was ZEEL Enterprises, and even though the deal has got through, the street ain't very happy.
Absolutely, Mubina. Here we are seeing that finally the deal had taken place. In September, the promoters had mentioned about selling their stake, and now they've sold 11% stake. And here there are some brokerage notes which have given their view, saying here Credit Suisse is saying that this 11% promoter stake sale is not a best deal, because this will only reduce the problems for a short term, but in a long term, the management continuity may still be a problem. Also, Access Capital said that the group will have to complete its stake sale within the deadlines, and this will keep the companies under pressure to finish their stake sale within the deadline. So that is why we are seeing that the stock is falling around 4.5% today, and let's look at how the stock will further react also by the end of the day.
Well, yeah, the street's definitely not very enthused by ZEEL Entertainment's stake sale to Oppenheimer. Some spoke about the quantity, some spoke about the fact that it's an existing investor that's putting in money over there. All right, and Sumit, IndusInd Bank, it's another day of resilience seen in the stock. It's still firmly above 1400. Okay, well, not firmly, it's come off quite a bit from the day's high, but reversal, of course, but nevertheless, what do you make of this move?
Good morning, Movina. Well, see, IndusInd Bank has broken the yesterday high. I think if it sustains above 1400 in a day trade, then there is a possibility that we might see a move in IndusInd Bank till 1450, 1470 levels in the next couple of days. I think till the time the supports are not taken away, the support for the stock is placed at around 1370. Till the time these levels are not taken away, it's better to be on buy side in IndusInd Bank. One can initiate long positions with the stop loss to be placed at 1370 for the targets of 1470, 1480 levels in the next couple of days.
All right, that's IndusInd Bank. It's down by about 0.6%. And of course, the big buzzer today in trade is Ashok Leyland. It came out with its first quarter numbers, and it's interesting to note that this one was actually seeing very smart gains in the earlier part of trade. However, it has fallen, and how? In fact, from the day's high, it's almost fallen 3 to 4 odd %. It's at the day's low for Ashok Leyland. In fact, they just had a conference call as well recently where they spoke about the first quarter numbers, they spoke about the BS6 transition. Now, of course, unsurprisingly, there's a 7% drop on the revenue. Margins, however, have managed to stay put at 15.7% versus 14.2%. But of course, we can't ignore, of course, the big decline in the profit. It's come in at 275 crores versus 464 crores in the corresponding quarter. So it's definitely a very big crack seen in Ashok Leyland. In the conference call as well, lots of things were highlighted. Like I said, among them is also the fact that you do have the BS6 transition, and the company said that they will keep all their customers up to speed on that. Kunal, Titan, it's been falling for some time now after touching that level of almost 1200 rupees. What do you make of this continuous decline?
So yes, Movina, and it's a very interesting chart because it tells you that how the large caps have behaved in this last 1 month, 1.5 months of this sharp price correction. Now Titan, after that single day downtick where the stock had fallen by I think 10 to 14% range, had formed a downside gap, and downside gaps generally act as strong selling zones for many of these asset classes, whether it's stocks or the indices. Now Titan in the similar context has formed that downside gap, which is acting as a strong resistance for the stock. But more importantly, after that day, the stock has just about gone through a downward drift. Now on days where the stock has closed negative, the volumes tend to be more higher. Today the stock has breached its 200 moving average as well. So a lot of negative patterns both on price as well as in volumes indicate that the stock could drag a bit lower from current levels as well.
All right, on the verge of breaking its 200 DMA. Vinny, meantime, Apollo Hospitals, what's the latest news that's causing this stock to be a buzz in trade?
So moving over here, we are seeing that in Apollo Hospitals, ADIA, Mitsui and Itochu are eyeing to buy stake in Apollo Hospitals, and this investment will be for around 350 to 400 million, and this is according to the ET reports. Also, we are seeing that, we know that the Reddies are battling a debt of around 3,500 crores. So by this strategic investment, it will help them in, reducing their debt and strengthening the balance sheets in the coming years. So let's hope for the best for Apollo Hospitals. And, this investment will be made in the holding company, that is PCR Investments. So this will keep the stock in focus, and we are already seeing up move in the movement is around 1% in the stock. So let's look at how the stock will react even today further on.
Okay, for now it's 0.9% higher, so it's a spot of green and an otherwise sea of red. Sumit, Hero Moto, again another stock that's managing to gain very smartly, although still managing to just about hold on to very, very small gains, continuing that upward momentum from yesterday. Your view here, although it's absolutely flat now.
Well, Hero Motocorp has given correction in last couple of weeks, but now it looks like that it has taken some support at around 2250, 2270 levels. I think till then these levels are not taken away, it's better to initiate long positions. One should avoid short positions at the current market price in Hero Motocorp. It's quoting at around 2350 levels. One can initiate long positions at the current market price for a trading perspective for next couple of days. Once the stock is able to break 2400 levels on higher side, we can see a move to 2450 or 2500 levels in next 1 week to 10 days time horizon. One can initiate long positions with a strict stop loss to be placed at around 2270 on lower side.
Okay, it's a clear-cut buy then on Hero Moto. Now it's time for a quick check at the RWI Small Case Index, and as the market continues to be in a limbo, what exactly is the RWI Small Case indicating? Well, unsurprisingly, it's a downtick of almost 1%, though we are still staying afloat above that 500 mark. However, it's at the risk of giving up that to 1% gone for the RWI Small Case Index. Just a reminder for all our viewers, this is an index that has been created and curated by ET Now and the Small Case Group. It represents various sectors and stocks of the Indian economy. So it's something that everyone could look at as a parameter of how the Indian economy is functioning. Wide range of representation from financial services and also banking and consumer discretionary. Okay, we'll do one thing. We'll just take a quick breather right here on Market Fatafat. Do come right back for more movers and shakers. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET Now. Let's continue with the countdown of movers and shakers then and take a look at Unichem Labs. This one is seeing some red on the screen, and it was right from the word go. This after the company announced that the US FDA has conducted an inspection at the company's important Goa formulations facility. Now there are 4 new observations that have cropped up. No repeat observations, so that's good. However, according to Unichem Labs, all these 4 observations are procedural in nature. Which again is something that can be rectified sooner than not, if not later, by Unichem Labs. However, in this weak market scenario, you're obviously seeing the stock fall, and 4 observations is definitely not a small number. So all the more, some negative seen for Unichem Labs from the US FDA, and the stock too is declining in trade, more than 1% gone. Okay, Kunal, India Bulls Housing, of course, is one stock from the entire group that has been in the doldrums, especially after all those money laundering allegations that cropped up. One day lower, one day higher, but mostly lower for the most part of last week. What would you recommend traders could do here?
So it's been almost 11 months now that the stock has been trading below its 200-day moving average, and that's a very big kind of a time frame for a large cap name and an index stock in that category. Now, if you look at the longer term chart patterns for India Bulls Housing, it's clearly shown signs of breakdown on price front. I think that 558 or 560 zone was a multi-year support for the stock price, but the way the stock has tested those kind of support levels and breached, I think just about indicates that the pain is not over for India Bulls Housing Finance in terms of price correction, and you could see the stock even going below that 500 mark. So I believe traders should look at opportunities of short-term rallies, short-term rises to try and initiate fresh shots into the stock price.
Okay, that's the view then coming in from Kunal on IB Housing. He does remain pretty bearish on the stock price. And of course, Vinny, the big newsmaker of yesterday as well was Eicher Motors, and the news, of course, was the first quarter numbers, but the stock is absolutely flat today.
Here you can see that, in the morning the stock was down, and now you've seen it's recovered. This is on the back of the results. We're seeing that, weak sentiments and liquidity issues are affecting the auto sector. And here also it is no different in Eicher Motors. The sales numbers were in line with our estimates, but the PAT and margins were below our expectations. Here the higher raw material cost has, impacted the margins of the company, and the Royal Enfield volume has declined 19% and dragged the standalone margins to a 3-year low. So this will, keep the stock in focus and, is impacting Eicher Motors now.
Well, yeah, this is a company that has in the past delivered margins which were in excess of 30%, and now, of course, the way the mighty have fallen. Eicher Motors, which was in the red, recovered, but once again now it's absolutely flat as flat can be. 16,355 for Eicher. Sumit, TCS as well as one spot of green in the Nifty today, but again this one too has largely succumbed to all the selling pressure, and now with the rest of the technology stocks is as well in the red. Your view here?
And the pay study go up and the set of teaching a lot of universities. The next 5 years, the advice will need to go.
Well, TCS. See, TCS is looking
Guys, wait,
like it
my
can...
TCS.
Yeah, can you hear me?
All right.
See, TCS looks like good on charts. We feel that from here on there is a possibility that TCS can give a move till 2270 levels. It's quoting at around 2190. I think Till the time these levels are not taken away, it's better to be on buy side. Downside, the support for the stock is placed at around 2170, 2160 levels. So that should be the stop loss for long positions. And on high side, once 2200 is taken away, we can see a move till 2240, 2250 levels. So one can initiate long positions in TCS at the current market price.
Buy on TCS from Sumit. Tata Global, this stock too was gaining as much as 4% in the earlier part of trade, but I'll have to check if it's succumbed to all the selling pressure that we are seeing for the markets on an overall basis. What were the first quarter numbers then? Because that was the key, trigger. Profits jumped almost 12% at 149 crore rupees, and the revenue was higher by just about 5.3% at 1,897 crores. Now, on the revenue front, Tata Global has suffered quite a bit on account of the fact that the revenue growth has just always been a little abysmal. But this time around, despite the fact that there was that exceptional loss, though mind you, it has come off quite a bit from the corresponding quarter, the profit managed to grow 12%. So that as well is something that one must be mindful about. Stock price gaining 2.5%. And Vinny, UPL's first quarter numbers, how were they?
So the UPL first quarter numbers were a big miss, a weak set of numbers given by UPL. The margins and profitability was a miss. The margins were down by around 60% and the profits were down by around 60% and the margins have contracted, to 15.6% versus 20% on a YOY basis. We are seeing a lot of one-offs also in UPL which are impacting the profitability. But the management is quite positive and they are maintaining their outlook for the sales at around 8 to 10% for FY20, while also the EBITDA outlook growth is also 16 to 20% for the company. So let's see, how the stock is reacting. Right now, we can see that UPL is down around 3.3%, and I think this will continue the fall, maybe even today on the back of weak results.
Well, yeah, more than 3% gone for UPL, continues to go lower. Sumit, today as well, the metal index is a big loser, underperforming the markets, and Hindalco losing more than 3.5% at 183. You have a sell here?
Yes, metal stocks are looking weak to me. Metals have given a good correction in last couple of days. Now looking at the stock Hindalco, it has given a breakdown. It has broken the support levels. It's quoting at around 183, 184 levels. I think it's better to be on sell side in Hindalco. Till that time, levels of 180 and 190 are not taken on the higher side. It's a weak stock, and downside it can move down till 178 or 175 levels. So one can initiate sell positions with a stop loss to be placed at 189 on the higher side for the downside target of 178 levels.
Okay, so it's a sell then on Hindalco, target at 178 from Sumit. On that note, we are out of time. So Sumit, thanks for joining in and sharing your technical strategies. Vinny and Kunal, to you as well. We will wrap it up. But here's a reminder for all our viewers today on Startup Central. Do not forget to catch the founder of Make My Trip. He will be talking about the potential of travel business in India, and of course, get the right insights about starting a business. All of this today at 6 p.m.